Jamie Coffey for the Iowa starting lineups, brought to you by Capital One.
And now, the starters for the Hawkeyes. At Ford, a 6'2" sophomore from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Number 45, Hannah Stuelke. At guard, a 5'11" junior out of Chicago, Illinois. Number 3, Sydney Afalter. At guard, a 6-foot grad student from Edwardsville, Illinois. Number 20, Kate Martin. At guard, a 5'9" fifth year out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Number 24, Gabby Marshall. And at guard, a 6-foot senior from West Des Moines, Iowa. Number 22, Caitlin Clark.
We're ready to go. How about South Carolina on the precipice of perfection, looking for championship number 3?
Yeah, word. Now on a different level, going to the tie, yeah. Never gonna stop for nobody, never try to drop, no, never. Now on a different level, going to the tie, yeah. Never gonna stop for nobody, never try to drop, no. To the top, yeah.
Now time for the South Carolina starting lineup. It's brought to you by Capital One.
And now, the starters for the Gamecocks. At Ford, a 6'2" sophomore out of Oviedo, Florida. Number 21, Chloe Kiss. At center, a 6'7" senior from Montes Carlos, Brazil. Number 10, Camila Cardozo. At center, a 5'9" sophomore out of Atlanta, Georgia. Number 25, Raven Johnson. At guard, a 6-foot junior from Dayton, Ohio. Number 23, Bree Hall. And at guard, a 5'9" senior out of Oceanside, California. Zero Tahina Pow Pow. And introducing the head coaches for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Lisa Bluder. And for the South Carolina Gamecocks, Dawn Staley.
Iowa and South Carolina getting ready to go. A handshake exchange between Lisa Bluder and Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley has talked about how her team has not been showing tightness at all, any nerves, any pressure about completing perfection, but she said, I feel it, and our coaching staff shoulders it. Meanwhile, Lisa Bluder, as she said last year and has said again this year, win or lose today, this season has been such a massive success. She never could have dreamed of this moment for women's basketball. Growing up in Iowa, playing their famous 6-on-6, and is just so grateful to have her team here in this moment. You heard her tell Holly earlier, if it was a 5-game series, she's not sure she feels so good about the chances in taking 3 of those 5. But in one game, anything can happen. And Iowa looking to end perfection for a second straight year against South Carolina. Caitlin Clark, Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall will all play their final collegiate game today. Camila Cardoso will play her final college game as well. South Carolina has not lost since falling to Iowa in the semifinals a year ago, seeking redemption and a title today. Stolke and Cardoso to jump it up, and the 6'7" Cardoso whacks it over to Kitts. South Carolina controls, and the national championship is underway.
Iowa starting in man-to-man, and you saw on the jump circle the incredible size advantage Cardoso has.
Here's Kitts, twisting, can't finish, and Martin the rebound for Iowa. Here's Clark flicking it ahead. Stolke turns. Good movement here. Martin's 3 is good. A strong start for the Hawkeyes.
Lisa Bluder told us it will be important for Kate Martin to hit some threes from the perimeter, giving up some size as well in her matchup.
Here's Raven Johnson. No. Good box out there, and Clark comes down with a rebound for Iowa. Here's Clark weaving through traffic, bouncing. Stolke can't finish it as Cardoso there to contest.
You see the fast pace. Both of these teams like to get up and down and play quickly.
Many differences for South Carolina from a year ago as Pau can't hit and Marshall the rebound. One of them, though, just how much faster they play than they did last season. Here's a Falter. Sydney Falter has slid into the starting lineup for the injured Molly Davis. Done a wonderful job. There's Kate Martin driving it. Will take and pop it in. It was those mid-range jumpers from Kate Martin that really carried Iowa to the finish line against UConn.
And because of all the defensive attention Caitlin Clark gets, her teammates know that some drives will be there for them, whether they end up in layups or mid-range jumpers.
Cardoso can't flip it in, trying to get to it. Loose ball, Iowa has it. 3-on-2 developing. A Falter looking to take it inside and does. What a start for the Hawkeyes.
Incredibly important for Iowa's confidence. They have scored 7, none of them by Caitlin Clark.
They've also gotten 4 straight stops against South Carolina to begin this game. They dump it into Cardoso. Triple team comes. Cardoso can't finish. Here comes Iowa. Clark has it. Clark thinking about taking instead into the lane. Can't flip it in. And it's knocked out of bounds by South Carolina. Stays here.
Iowa can thrive in transition. Caitlin Clark's head always up. Outstanding with the get-ahead, the passing. 4 players touch it before getting the wide-open look.
Here's a Falter. We're going to drive it again. Needs help this time. Flings it out. Clark open 3 is good. A 10-0 right hook from Iowa to begin the national championship game. Cardoso finally gets South Carolina on the board.
I would continue to look at Cardoso.
Here's Clark, the crossover. She gets fouled. She gets fouled shooting from 3 and will take 3 free throws here as Bree Hall picks up the personal.
An incredible start for Iowa. Everyone getting involved, doing it in different ways. Transition, mid-range attacks. You see the push-off there by Clark. Cardoso contests, but we've seen Caitlin Clark time and again hitting shots with players in her face.
And Clark, fortunate she did not get called for a foul there on that push-off. You could see the South Carolina bench rising up, asking for it. That's a really cool pump. First player to ever lead Division I in points per game and make it to the national championship game.
Well, that's because they haven't also led Division I in assists per game.
The National Player of the Year for a second straight season hits all 3 free throws.
Look to Cardoso. She's been getting triple teams. She's a good passer, can find easier looks from her perimeter players.
Pau's 3 is good to Tahina Pau, top 3 in the nation in three-point shooting percentage. Here's Clark, wheeling, taking, and banking it home. So after her teammates had the first 7, Clark has the last 8 for Iowa.
Deep drop coverage. The mid-range pull-ups are going to be there for South Carolina guards.
They dump it in. Cardoso underneath, lays it home. She was an unstoppable force last season against Iowa, but was coming off the bench. Clark, oh my, from the future. Clark has scored the last 11 Iowa points. No. Cardoso, Hits gets it up and in. South Carolina relentless on the offensive glass.
It's going to be so important, especially the way Iowa is shooting, for South Carolina to get a lot more field goal attempts.
Clark looking to shake Kitts. Clark knocked away by Kitts. Did a nice job there. Here's Clark. Will take another bomb and gets fouled. Kitts fouls Clark, and she is going right back to the line.
You've seen South Carolina switch at times defensively. Well, bigs, even if they're used to playing on the perimeter, they're not used to playing 25 feet away, trying to contest a guard.
One of the things Caitlin Clark talked to us about was the way West Virginia and UConn defended her. Said it was the best defense she had seen in her collegiate career. Felt grateful that she saw it from West Virginia earlier in the tournament because it prepared her and her team to be able to deal with it against UConn. They also felt it would prepare them for anything they would see defensively today against South Carolina.
And those two teams were able to limit Iowa in transition, set their defenses a little easier.
Clark misses the 3rd free throw. She has the last 13 Iowa points. A 20-9 Hawkeye lead. Hits, mid-range jumper, won't go. Clark the rebound. Clark eyes up always. Clark looking to take Raven Johnson. Clark bounces, the cut from Martin, who misses the layup, and a foul on Addison O'Grady is going to keep things with South Carolina.
Make no mistake, she missed that layup because there were 6'7" long arms between her and the basket.
Ashlyn Watkins, Tessa Johnson will come in for South Carolina. Sanaya Fagan will as well. And here's one of the advantages the Gamecocks have. They have a 9-player rotation. Dawn Staley trusts each of them implicitly with any moment, and she has had the exact right touch all season long for when to pull what string.
Puppet master?
I think so. Dawn Staley in South Carolina in its 4th straight Final Four. Watkins storms in, kicks out. Johnson will fire. Can't hit, long rebound. Watkins, who had 20 boards off the bench in the semifinal. And a foul will keep it here. 4:45 to go in the first. And if you're Iowa, you couldn't have asked for a better one. Caitlin Clark firing away from deep. Yes, you have to guard her even at 33 feet. And Carver Hawkeye enjoying what they're seeing in Iowa City. Here's a look at Fueling the Run, brought to you by Wendy's.
And the fuel has been Caitlin Clark. She has scored Iowa's last 13 points. We've seen her hit from deep, get inside, and how deep? 30 feet on this bomb.
Well, a total Clark eclipse when it comes to the record book. She's now 3rd in career NCAA tournament points. She's 1st in assists. She's 1st in threes made. And yes, you see that sun is now behind her orbit. Caitlin Clark just truly rewriting the record book this season, and on the brink of a little more history. She is just behind Maya Moore and Chamique Holdsclaw for the most points ever scored in the NCAA tournament in a career.
It's just incredible. As the moments get bigger, she continues to rise to them.
Wiley in off the bench for South Carolina as well. She is a game changer.
Iowa in a zone out of that out of bounds for South Carolina.
Wiley, nice dish, and Fagan lays it in.
Point of emphasis for South Carolina at their shoot-around this morning. Attack the gaps in the zone. You saw that from Wiley.
That foul just before the break was called on a falter. That was her first. Here's Clark, guarded by Johnson. Clark dips in, can't finish, wanted a whistle, did not get it. Here is Johnson off the stop. Passer Johnson will fling it out to Watkins. Raven Johnson, who's done such a wonderful job running the point this season. Wiley spins, can't finish. Rebound Fagan. Fagan nearly loses it, shovels it. Wiley banks it in. More second chance points for South Carolina.
Iowa shooting 60%. South Carolina shooting half of that. They need more attempts.
Martin in the mid-range gets fouled by Watkins. And free throws here for Kate Martin. Hey, the Burden Tarasi Show presented by AT&T, back for its third consecutive year. Currently airing on ESPN. Today's guest list includes Robin Roberts, Snoop Dogg, Nneka Ogwumike, Jalen Hurts, and our buddy Jason Sudeikis is back as well.
Sounds like just a great group to have coffee with.
Or other things.
Fair enough.
There is Jason, who has been a part of the Iowa contingent throughout the latter stages of this tournament. As Martin hits both free throws, Cardoso will check back in for the Gamecocks.
What I've liked from the officiating so far is they've let there be contact when it's not on a shot. They're letting them be a little bit physical inside on the perimeter as well, but always protecting the shooter.
Brenda Pantoja, Joe Vasili, and Angelica Suffren are officials today. Wiley dips inside of Marshall and finishes.
It's going to be really hard for the perimeter players of Iowa to keep her in front of them.
Martin attacks the closeout. Stolke nowhere to go. Finds Marshall. Right back to Stolke. Clark trying to shake free. Raven Johnson doing an outstanding job on her. Instead, it's Martin off on a three, and Raven Johnson the rebound for South Carolina. Nice defensive set there from the Gamecocks. They lob it inside Cardoso. Feels like South Carolina has been able to settle things down now after a torrid start from Iowa. It was 10-0 out of the gates in favor of the Hawkeyes. Johnson can't hit, and a foul here on Stolke as she picks up her first.
Attacking the gaps in the zone, and Mylasia Wiley has such great quickness. We've seen it time and again. She got hit on the head there too, how she cups the ball like a running back to protect it as she gets into the paint.
You already have 6 offensive rebounds from South Carolina. In the semifinal last year, which Iowa won, South Carolina was a plus 21 on the offensive glass. Cardoso gets blocked, last hits her, Iowa ball.
Hannah Stolke 6'2", Cardoso 6'7", tries to get around. It's a piece of the ball. Yes, Cardoso last to hit it.
Hannah Stolke said her confidence was sky high after the performance she had in the semifinal against UConn. Here's Clark driving it inside, bounces it, and throws it away. Stolke cut towards her, and Clark threw it where she was. First turnover from Iowa. And first turnover of the game. Wiley a three is good. The freshman is unfazed by the stage. A 9-2 South Carolina run. Here's Feuerbach in off the bench for Iowa. And Wiley comes up with a steal, then Feuerbach takes it back. And Iowa retains possession.
Raven Johnson done a good job on this possession, keeping the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands.
Marshall fakes the three, will drive it. Feuerbach will do the same. Feuerbach dives inside and gets swallowed up by Cardoso. The get ahead to Johnson. Tessa Johnson loses it out of bounds, and it will stay here with South Carolina as Caitlin Clark tells her team to calm down.
Malaysia Fulwiley has shown what she can do. We've seen the dribble penetration inside there, stepping confidently into the three. A difference maker all season long off the bench for South Carolina.
First time we saw Dawn Staley in Paris, very start of the season, she said, Malaysia Fulwiley is a generational player. And we have seen why throughout this year. Flashes of never-before-seen finishes in the college game.
And for her to come in this moment and be ready right away, remarkable.
Fulwiley will get a breather, so will Raven Johnson after she did such a nice job face guarding Clark over the last few possessions. Tessa Johnson, another freshman, floats it in, and it's a two-point game.
Bree Hall now with the defensive assignment again on Clark. Look at her hand right in Clark's face.
Clark looking to separate from Hall. Clark, the drive, able to bank it in. And now Marshall nearly comes up with a steal and does. Marshall steals it. A falter looking for help. O'Grady. Clark trying to get open. She will fire. Didn't have the angle and missed it left.
7th time this season that Gabby Marshall has gotten one of those steals in the backcourt.
24-20, Iowa in front of South Carolina. First quarter winding to a close. Here's Hall, looking to attack, lost it. Clark on the steal. Here's Clark, trying to wheel through traffic. Clark, the drive, the kick, and a foul here is going to go against Hall. And that will be the second personal on Bree Hall in this first quarter, a significant foul.
She has good size and length, and this is what she is doing on Caitlin Clark, trying to affect her vision. One of the best passers the game has ever seen. Her hand right in Caitlin Clark's face.
And Raven Johnson back into the game now as Hall goes to the bench after the second foul. They have about a 6-second difference game in shot clock. Here's Clark. Will Iowa wind it down? No. That's why. A stunning opening quarter from Clark. She has 18, the most ever in a championship game quarter. Johnson can't answer. O'Grady the board. And that will do it for the first. Iowa a 7-point lead after one. Holly chats with Lisa Bluter when we get back. How about Caitlin Clark, her final college game? You think she's ready for the moment? 18 in the first. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Well, Coach Bluter, the shot clock's winding down. Caitlin pulls up for a shot, and I see your body language. You're like, no, and then it goes in. How do you navigate this?
You know, when she feels it, she feels it. Obviously, we're trying to think a little bit more clock management, but hey, I'm gonna take the three.
Your team had a big focus on Camila Cardozo. How do you feel like the post play has gone so far?
Done a pretty good job, I think. I feel like still we need to box out a little bit better. They're so hard to box out, but we got to really focus on that.
And then just quickly, Malaysia Fulwiley came in and has changed the game. How do you contest her a little better?
Man, she's fast. She's fast with the basketball. She's fast going downhill. I think we got to keep the ball in her hands in order to stop her, because when she gets the ball, it's pretty hard to contain her.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Holly.
Caitlin Clark is a singular offensive force like we have never seen, and South Carolina knows that. So they're going to send multiple defenders to her, try to keep the ball out of her hands. Raven Johnson first, Bree Hall here, and then sometimes it's going to be a switch. And that means the 6'7" big Cardoso will also be out on the perimeter. But much like earlier times this season, there is not a single answer for slowing down Caitlin Clark.
And with those 18 first quarter points, she has passed Shamika Holtzclaw for the most points in NCAA tournament career history. Start of the second quarter, and Iowa a 7-point lead with the basketball. Clark with 18 in the first, guarded by Johnson. Hall on the bench with 2 fouls. Clark, the little runner, won't go. Almost flipped it up casually. Seen her take a few more non-paint twos to start this game, a shot she's usually reluctant to pull on. Here's Fagan, baited into that, can't hit, Clark the rebound. And then poked away by Cardoso. Raven Johnson after it, and the possession arrow belongs with South Carolina. Nice heads-up defensive play there by Camila Cardoso, just poking at it.
Those 15-foot shots by the bigs for South Carolina are going to be there. Some of the mid-range pull-ups off the bounce for South Carolina guards are going to be there because Iowa's defense is predicating on hoping that they can force South Carolina into those attempts.
South Carolina 73-1 over the last 2 seasons. Just remarkable. Their only loss last year in the semifinals to Iowa. Here's Johnson. Johnson's mid-range is good. Tessa Johnson, a fearless freshman, delivering off the bench for South Carolina.
She has been the best South Carolina guard in terms of consistently hitting those mid-range in the tournament.
Here's Clark bouncing, Martin cutting, tried to force it into traffic, could not, and now South Carolina with numbers. Johnson bodies in and finishes. A strong start to the second for the Gamecocks.
How about the freshman off the bench for South Carolina, both Johnson and Wiley.
Tessa Johnson comes out to meet Clark. Clark evades, bounces. O'Grady gets denied by Cardoso. Now South Carolina will slow things down. Cardoso working O'Grady. Cardoso and the foul. Banks it in. And a chance to tie at the line. Looks like Cardoso had maybe shuffled the feet. That's what the Iowa bench wanted, but instead Cardoso can tie it.
Dawn Staley has called Camila Cardoso the separator because of how she can change things both on the defensive and offensive ends. Block shot one way, foul called for the and one on the other.
You see O'Grady getting the wrist of Cardoso. 6 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a tie game. A 7-0 run to start the second for South Carolina.
See Raven Johnson picking Caitlin Clark up full court.
And she has done the best job thus far on Clark. Here's Clark. Clark into the paint. Gets blocked. A falter open. Knocks down the 3. Sydney a falter. Lisa Bluter calls Chicago tough. Cardoso gets fouled on the reach. And it's going to be Kate Martin. That will be her first personal.
Caitlin Clark has been looking to get inside and penetrate. And here, nice block by Johnson. Well, we've seen this a lot. Caitlin Clark, when a teammate is open, finding them for an open look.
The NCAA Men's Basketball National Championship game between Purdue and UConn Monday, with coverage beginning at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on TBS. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Cardoso misses both, but Fagan there for the finish, as Iowa having all kinds of trouble securing the defensive glass.
And they knew that was going to happen coming into this game against the size of South Carolina.
That'll be a foul on Wiley. And that will be her first.
Puts a lot of pressure on you to make shots, though, Ryan, when the other team, because of offensive boards, is getting so many extra opportunities.
Well, they already have 9 more field goal attempts in this game. And they talked about managing that emotionally as well, knowing that they were going to give up those offensive boards and not to let it debilitate them mentally. Clark. Marshall looked like she got pushed. No call. Martin fakes the pass. Now dishes. A falter. Will drive it. Good look. And Stokey lays it in. Sydney Falter has been completely under control in these crucial moments of the tournament. Johnson. For Wiley in the corner. Unable to hit. Rebound for Wiley, who follows it up. Can't finish. Cardoso can. rebound from South Carolina.
And it started with Wiley, the guard attacking the offensive glass. Now, this is an Iowa team, had 19 fewer field goal attempts against LSU in their regional final.
Marshall thought about the deep three. Here's Clark curling, faking, asking for the screen. Goes away from it. And a foul on Raven Johnson, and that will be her first.
You're allowed the hot stove touch on the ball handler facing the basket, and Raven Johnson left her hand on Caitlin Clark. It looks like minimal contact, Ryan, but by the rules, it's a foul. Hot stove touch, you cannot continue to touch.
Here's Clark. Clark finds Stolke, who lays it in. Wanted the and one, didn't get it. Dawn Staley also got a warning there from Joe Vasili. She was very upset with that call on Raven Johnson. Here is Cardoso. She has been unstoppable. Johnson in the corner, can't hit. Clark the rebound. Iowa running. A falter. Unable to finish. Tessa Johnson, a good contest. Here's Wiley, the hesitation, the attack, and the block. Sudeikis applauding the defense.
I like the attack by Mylasia Wiley. She often has success doing it. This time, Hannah Stolke comes over. Perfectly timed block.
Fagan checks out. Watkins in for South Carolina. Here's Cardoso. Johnson's three is good. Tessa Johnson, no hesitation.
So impressed by this young woman's moxie.
Johnson in for Wiley, just terrific off the bench. Clark thought about it. Hawked by Johnson. Clark backs it away. Looking to take Johnson, and a foul on Tessa Johnson. That will be her first. And the third foul on South Carolina this quarter.
The confidence with which Tessa Johnson is playing on the offensive end of the floor here. A little bit of space, arms not quite outreached by Gabby Marshall, and steps into it.
Clark, too long on that attempt, and South Carolina could take the lead. Here's for Wiley, blurring inside for the bucket. No, a travel, and South Carolina turns it over.
This is where South Carolina defenders need to understand, if the ball, when I'm defending a ball handler, I have to be completely hands off because the officials have set the tone of what they're calling.
Right. Here's Martin, left alone. Can't hit. Rebound batted out of bounds by Stolke. It will be South Carolina basketball. How about for Iowa, Rebecca, anything they can do differently on the defensive glass against South Carolina?
Their bigs need to continue to box out. It's going to have to be a full-team effort. All of the guards are going to have to go to the glass as well.
South Carolina plus 10 on the glass. Watkins dumping it inside. Cardoso has given the Gamecocks their first lead of the afternoon.
And getting the scores offensively has allowed South Carolina to set easier defensively.
Here's a falter on the cut, and for Wiley, the rejection. Here's for Wiley behind the back, can't reverse it in. Rebound knocked away to Marshall. Here's Clark with Iowa down 2. Clark looking to take Watkins. Clark, shimmy, swivels, can't finish. Another chance here for Iowa. Iowa got out to a 10-0 lead in the first. South Carolina has responded. A falter bounces. Stolke able to finish. Plus the foul. It'll be number 2 on Watkins. And a chance for 3 for Hannah Stolke. How about the back-and-forth action here in this national championship game?
We could not have asked for more. These two teams have come to play fearless basketball on both ends of the floor.
Now it's time for Get More, brought to you by go.
How impressive have the freshmen for South Carolina been performing on this huge stage? Malaysia Fulwiley on the offensive end in particular. Tessa Johnson as well. They have come out fearlessly, looking for their offense, playing with confidence.
Paper shredder? That sucks. Fleas and ticks suck too. Seresto can help with this one. One collar provides the longest lasting protection for 8 continuous months. Stop sucking with Seresto.
This is a really big moment for any player, but especially a player in her first collegiate season.
And it's one of the things that Dawn Staley has really prepared her bench and her freshmen to handle throughout this season, because she has thrown them into the fire. She has not been afraid to pull any lever at any moment with her 9-player rotation. And you could see the bench delivering so far today, 20 points off it already in this first half.
And a luxury for Dawn, but also for those players. Yes, everyone loves to start, but in this big moment, to get a few minutes under your belt, watching your teammates do their thing, and then just come in and do what you do.
I thought it was really interesting as Stolke completes the 3-point play. Bree Hall told us that's part of the way Dawn Staley recruits. She says, if you want to win a Player of the Year award, if you want to average 25 points a game, this is not the school for you. If you want a chance to win a national championship, then you should come to South Carolina. In the corner, Fulwiley's 3 off the mark, hits the offensive rebound. Yet another for the Gamecocks. And a foul on a Falter will put Chloe Kitts at the line. That is a critical foul because it's number 2 on Sydney Falter.
That time, Iowa in a 2-3 zone. And I was going to say it's harder to box out in a zone, but I always had a hard time corralling the defensive board no matter what defense they're in. They're just giving up so much size inside.
So you have 2 on a Falter, 2 on Watkins, 2 on Hall. As Kitts sinks the free throw. In the WNBA draft, Monday, April 15th on ESPN. Coverage begins with WNBA Countdown at 7 Eastern. Then at 7:30, it's the 2024 WNBA Draft live on ESPN and the ESPN app. Caitlin Clark expected to be the first pick as Cardoso gets called for the over the back, and it's significant because Iowa is in the bonus. First foul on Cardoso. Dawn Staley in disagreement.
She got a number of offensive boards or touched the ball using her length and size to reach over. That time deemed too much contact down below.
Stolke has the last 7 Iowa points. Now that draft, Caitlin Clark expected to be the first pick to the Indiana Fever. Camila Cardoso could go as early as 2. Certainly you don't feel like she's going to slip past 4 in the draft. Here's the WNBA mock. So that is Monday, April 15th on ESPN. Angel Reese will be in that draft as well. You see Rakia Jackson, Cameron Brink, Aaliyah Edwards, others ticketed for the top 5. Cardoso can't finish. Rebound, scurry, and Martin comes up with it for Iowa. A rare one-shot trip for South Carolina. Can Iowa take advantage? Clark yet to score this quarter after 18 in the first. Finds Martin. Martin sandwiched between 2. Able to flip it in. Her in-between game has really shown up at key times in this Final Four. 4-point Iowa lead. Deflected, hits, throws it away, and Feuerbach is fouled by Tessa Johnson. And now Feuerbach will go to the line, and that is number 2 on Tessa Johnson. So South Carolina in some foul trouble here with Johnson, Watkins, and Hall all with two personals.
Last 2 possessions, Iowa's been in a tandem 2-3, and they've been able to get stops out of it both times. Lisa Bluter, a coach who will change up her defenses regularly, and a team that's very experienced with it.
No shots here for Iowa. Here's Clark. Iowa didn't have possession yet as Stolke drives inside but can't finish it. Attacked right away with Cardoso on the bench.
First time that there was a good-looking lane because Cardoso not in.
Here's Kitts dumping it down for Fagan. Pow run off the line. For Wiley into the corner. Johnson short on a three. Long rebound. Fearbach. Clark with space. Clark bounces. Stokey gets denied by Fagan, who's able to keep it in bounds. Nice stop defensively by Sanaya Fagan. For Wiley whips it out. Pow. Yes. 1 point Iowa lead. Clark yet to score in the second. Will put up a three here. And hit.
You know she loves going left. Raven Johnson forcing her right, and then she went left because she is that good.
For Wiley dumps it in. Kitts dumps it down. Fagan has it stripped. Persistent. Big minutes off the bench for Sanaya Fagan. Here's Clark. Had it knocked away. Taken by Johnson. Johnson on the steal. Shovels to Kitts, who lays it in. 44 all. What a first half here in this national championship game.
South Carolina deadly when they can get out in transition, especially off of turnovers.
Fifth tie of the half. Here's Clark. Clark looking to take Johnson. Clark into the paint, waits, gets denied, goes back up, and a held ball. Iowa has the possession arrow. Clark will inbound, under a minute to go, into Stokey, right back to Clark. Stokey bounces underneath. Martin able to finish. Nice play out of the inbound and the timeout.
And Clark read it beautifully. She saw that two players came to her. Where's the next pass? Stokey, and then the one more.
How about Kate Martin? 11 points in this first half. Her final collegiate game. The player that Lisa Bluder calls the glue of this team. For Wiley hopping through, setting up Fagan. Unable to finish, but another offensive rebound. Kitts squeezes it out to Full Wiley. Pow's three again. Tahina Pow has been massive from three in this first half. She is 3 for 3 from downtown. Shot clock turned off, and Johnson picks the pocket of Clark. Raven Johnson lays it in. What a momentum buster to end the half. Clark, does she get it off? No, and that's how the first half ends. Instead of Iowa holding for one, Raven Johnson comes up with the steal and the score, and South Carolina takes its largest lead of the game into the half.